Well, 555 finally arrived. Ah. I've been sitting here watching, and then it was here and I almost missed it. The title for this video is "It is illegal for slaves to own anything." I agree with Aristo that I don't want any world order that does not recognize the sovereignty of every individual. That is far from how the Matrix works, however. An attorney told one of my friends, it is illegal for anyone to own in the U.S. to own property. As he was trained, it's all owned by the state. Others, like Kate of Gaia, tell us the state even owns our name. They even claim the bodies we live in as humans. Who the hell are these beings that claim the right to own us? Whoever they are, whether human or demon, they need to be prevented from fulfilling their diabolical plan to rule the world with an iron fist and a combat boot on every face. We need 555 to overcome 666 now. Whew. Because the bank is once again threatening to take my house, I have had to reach out to certain individuals that have helped me in the past to provide me some insight and information on how things work so that I know how to protect my house once again. So that I can, the home that I live in, and I say my, it's actually in a non-statutory common law trust that is ignored by the system, even though it's filed in the system and recorded in the system. One friend wrote to me, it is the individual who has rights, not a body politic. Not humanity as a whole. There is no whole. There are only lots of individuals, Ron. Each will decide for themselves. I don't accept that. I'm sorry. I am connected to the whole. I am an individual, yes, but I'm an individual who recognizes the interconnectedness of all life. And I look at the situation in which we live, where they are trying again to steal my house in total defiance of a federal court settlement in 2012, in July 2012, that stated that no party in that lawsuit could take action against me, that they were not taking my home, that they did not want anything from me. That was testified in a federal court of law and agreed to, and there's an affidavit on record filed with the federal court and filed with the local courts that is the case. The case of trying to steal my home was resolved in federal court. And I'm going to be bringing some evidence and putting some things on the screen. Hopefully, I'm trying to figure out how to do that to show some of the things that we've learned as we delve into this claim of PNC Bank to be the owner of my property, when I have the land patent brought forth, when I have claimed it by the UCC1, when I have claimed to be a creditor, not a debtor, in regard to the whole situation there. It's filed with the state of Florida. It's filed with the county of Brevard. It's filed in the public records, if you will, and they ignore it. Why? We're getting to the root of it. We're getting to the root of it. The reason they ignore and have been ignoring everything that I've had to claim my rights and to claim the property that I live on as being in control of it. And they have tried to wrest that control away from me. Now they plan to have a hearing on October the 2nd this year, 9 o'clock in the morning. They've allowed 5 minutes for the hearing to evict us. That's me, my daughter, my son-in-law, and my 3 grandchildren, evict us and make us homeless. That's the plan of PNC Bank in collaboration with the court, in collaboration with the so-called state that is bankrupt and owes money to supposedly the Dragon family. But this whole idea of anybody owing money to anybody is absurd. It is the world that we live in, but it's absurd. Who has the right to own anything? Who has the right to own another? Who has the right to own someone's name? Who has the right to copyright my name and say it belongs to me, and copyright my social security number and claims it belongs to them, I mean, not to me. Claims it belongs to them. Who has the right to claim the land that I live on and say it doesn't belong to you? You're just a tenant. You're an occupant. And that's what they address it. They address us as occupants, as tenants on our own land. It doesn't, listen folks, it doesn't even matter if you've worked hard and you've gained enough money and you've bought yourself a home and paid cash for it. Paid actual cash. You do not own that home in the current system. Certainly not in the United States, according to law, and I'll bet it's the same in Australia and England and in all Commonwealth nations and probably most other nations as well. You do not own your land because they do not see you as a human being. They do not see you as a real entity. You're just a slave. You're just property. Even your body to them is just property. Your DNA is property. That's why they claim the right to patent DNA. Do you understand what they're doing? Do you understand this sick game that is being played? I don't care about the law of nations. I don't care about any treaties that have been created ever in the history of the world. I break every treaty that was made on my body, on my being, against my will, without my knowledge. All of them are null and void, and I proclaim that to the universe. Now, the universe is either going to stand by me and protect me, or it's not. I've been a martyr before. I don't want to be a martyr this time. I've made that clear to God over and over and over again. I'm tired of playing that role, of putting my neck out, sticking my neck out to try to defend rights of people, to defend truth, and only to be destroyed and killed or silenced by psychopaths that think that they own me. I am not property for sale. My body is not property. My name is not property. Nothing belongs to you, state. Do you understand? Nothing belongs to you, nations. Do you understand? The right of the individual is a sovereign right, and I disagree with my friend Phil, who claims that humanity is no whole. Well, it doesn't appear to be whole as far as being unified, but it is whole from the divine perspective. And from the human perspective, fuck you. There is no human perspective. There's only a divine perspective. And I'm expressing the divine perspective that everything is interconnected and all one. We are one people. And that's what the One People's Public Trust did. It foreclosed on the corporations that are acting and behaving with absolute impunity, trying to create this slavery system of 1984, which is overdue, where the combat boot is on every face and where they rule with an iron fist, and it's a totalitarian tyranny. I reject every New World Order tyranny. Now, I don't agree with Aristo that I reject all New World Orders, because I think there has to be a New World Order that is implemented as a bridge in the time thing, moving us into integrity, moving us back to real law and real truth. And people keep saying, I watched an hour and 22 minutes of a video where this guy learned how the system works. What did he reveal? He revealed how the system works, that they own it all, that he realized that he didn't own anything, no matter what his claims of right were. They ignored that. I can bear witness to the fact that the courts ignore that. I have evidence that they were not going to take my home. I have testimony in a federal court that they were not going to take my home. That was, again, July 2012. I've seen a helicopter aerial view of one that's taken in the last while, since it's owned by PNC. The photograph is a PNC-owned photograph, PNC Bank. They actually hired a helicopter to take it, and they've marked an X on top of the part of my house where my office is, where my bedroom is. They put an X right on top of that, a red X in the aerial photograph. And it shows that they bought my home for $100 on July 31st, 2012. That was after the court hearing in the federal court, where they said they weren't taking my home. They didn't want my home. They didn't want anything from me. They testified to that. They had an affidavit where they could have rebutted the affidavit. The affidavit remained unrebutted. They have committed a criminal act against me. But in their mind, I'm not allowed to own anything. So they can't, and I'm a slave. Slaves have no rights. Slaves cannot create affidavits. That's why they ignore the affidavits. Now, this is the world that we live in, folks. This is the world that we live in. What are we going to do about it? I'm asking for journalists, especially in my local area, to help stand with me and tell the story so that the people here and around the world will understand the dynamics that we're up against in this slavery system created and administered by governments that are actually not governments. They're privately owned corporations by people who want to rule the world, by psychopaths, by sociopaths, by insane people that want to dominate all of the resources, including us as human resources, not human beings, human resources that they can use to their advantage. Is this the world we want? I would like to have an attorney, a common law attorney, somebody that's willing to stand up for common law rights based on maxims of law that are accessible on the web, that everybody can determine. That truth is determined by affidavit, and an unrebutted affidavit becomes the judgment in a matter. Now that's just, it doesn't take a judge or an attorney to determine that. It's determined by the person who creates the affidavit and by those who do not respond to the affidavit. They have the right to say, no, I disagree. When they don't disagree, when they don't rebut the affidavit, according to law, it becomes the judgment in the matter. Now, they violated that when they bought my house for, supposedly I sold it for $100. Now, it's interesting that in the public record, the sheriff's sale in February 2012 isn't part of the record, because I protested that because it was fraud. It was fraud on the face. I presented the affidavits immediately. It was fraud that they were committing, and I called them on it, but it doesn't show up in the records as them having bought it in February. It shows up as them having bought it in July 31st, 2012. After I had appeared earlier that month in federal court while my affidavit was still in the records. And then I filed with the county. I filed my claim of right and I transferred the property into a non-statutory common law trust, which included the land patent, which included my acknowledgement of deed. By the way, an acknowledgement of deed, when they present a deed, a warranty deed, and I don't know how this works in all the world, but in the United States, they give you a warranty deed when you buy the house. I have the actual sale contract between the former owner and myself, and it was a cash sale. It was a cash sale. There was no mortgage on this property. Never, ever, ever. And yet PNC is claiming to be able to take the property, and they're in cahoots with the government. I'll be sharing more about that in another video. But in any case, they violated a federal court settlement. They just violated it. They claim that it doesn't exist. They bought the property for $100. I wasn't involved on July 31st in any action of the court. And I was, on paper, the lawful owner. But see, here's the thing. I started to say this and then I got sidetracked. When you get a warranty deed, the owner, the buyer, does not sign it. And they don't even tell you you're supposed to sign it. You're not supposed to acknowledge the deed and take ownership of the property for fee simple. You're not supposed to take ownership of it. Why? Because you're considered a tenant. You're considered an occupant. Those are legal terms. And it's fraud. It's fraud. They defrauded you out of your property right then, right there. They defrauded you. Now, again, I'm going to go into more details of this whole situation in a future video or videos so that you get a more clearer picture. I'm going to actually, if I can, I'm going to be doing screenshots. I don't know how to do that and make it work in the recording, but I want to be able to do screenshots or something that shows you. I need to get some technical training on how to create videos that show other things than my face in front of the camera, because I don't know how to do it, frankly. But I need some help, and I'm reaching out to the worldwide community, to my friends, to help me protect the home that I live in, the home that I'm giving my family refuge so that they can get out of some of their legal situations where there are slaves to the system, and help them get to where they can have a place of their own again. But we all need and we all deserve a place of our own, and we need to be able to own it in perpetuity in our family and pass it on by contract. We need to get out of our slavery. We need to stand up to the system and say, whatever your system is, whatever your justification is, we're not buying it anymore. It's not just. It's not based on truth. It's not what we want. We do not consent to the state slavery system, the corporate state slavery system that we find ourselves bound by and imprisoned by without bars. We need to wake up, folks, and we need to stand for what is right, for what is true, and stand up for each other. That's my message for today, and I'm asking those that can provide either journalists or common law attorneys that will help. I don't know what the process is, but they broke a law. They broke a settlement of a federal court, and I would think that that's a crime, actually a criminal offense, not just a civil offense. That's a criminal offense. What PNC Bank and its attorney is doing to me, or trying to do to me, and has been trying for a long time. I'm asking for help. Thank you, and namaste.